Hi folks, another bright sunshiny day in Southern California. So as I had mentioned to you yesterday, I'm basically committing to doing a series of videos now to cover all the current transits. And we have a new moon in the sign of Leo tomorrow evening. And as you guys know, I like to do my new moon videos after the new moon. So I'm not going to do the new moon video till Wednesday. Okay, so just know that. But that'll allow me to get a video out today and hopefully another video out tomorrow before the new moon. And then we can do the new moon video on Wednesday. Okay, in the previous videos I've mentioned to you that the primary theme of the second half of this year is to get done with energies that have been at play since middle of July 2018. And getting done with them could mean any of the following or a combination of the following. It could mean acting on lessons learned. It could mean finishing up pending tasks. It could mean protecting yourself and drawing boundaries. It could mean availing of opportunities. It can mean leaning into a certain set of energies to either avail of opportunities or learn lessons, or there's work that needs to be done wherever the sign of Cancer is in your chart, and then something needs to be released, but there's also boundaries and patterns that need to be released wherever Capricorn sits in your chart. And this has all been in play since the middle of July 2018. It's tough energy and it's constricted energy because clearly there's a need to incorporate certain skills in our lives and build them and let go of situations or circumstances or patterns or beliefs or behaviors that are no longer serving us. And this process is always difficult and challenging. And some aspect of these things has to be kind of wrenched away from us to some extent, and or consequences have to be served up because, you know, we are resistant to a certain amount of change, and sometimes can be resistant to a certain amount of growth. We find that we are in situations that we kind of have to spiral our way out of or work our way out of. Okay. At the same time, as I've mentioned to you, Mars is in the sign of Aries, giving us a certain amount of warmth, a self-assertion, of vitality in the second half of this year to get done with these energies and wrap them up. So there's a fight, so to speak, a desire to finish things up and acknowledge difficulty and challenge with regard to whatever it is that we're being asked to finish up wherever the Cancer-Capricorn axis is in our charts. And then Mars in Aries is also asking us to finish this up because so that we can walk into the new as we head towards the end of this year. Now, when I'm talking about Mercury in Leo today, believe me, we're getting to it. And I've already done a video on Sun in Leo. The Sun is in Leo right now. It's transiting Leo, and it's going to move into Virgo on August the 22nd. And in its last week in Leo, it's going to have a new moon tomorrow. This new moon is going to conjunct Mercury in Leo. And Mercury has been in Leo since August the 5th and will be here till August the 20th. So you may well wonder, why am I doing a video on Mercury in Leo when in 3 days' time Mercury is going to enter Virgo and the Sun is going to follow in 2 or 3 days' time? Damn that luck. Swish about my forehead. It's because talking about Mercury in Leo is especially important right now as we both look back and as we avail of a certain set of energies, not only over the next 3 weeks, but also in this new moon cycle. Because the new moon on August the 18th is going to be conjunct Mercury. So today, earlier today, August the 17th, if the Sun was moving, Mercury met up with the Sun this morning and now has moved past the Sun. And tomorrow evening, the moon will meet up with the Sun and create a new moon, but it'll be conjunct Mercury. The moon, right after making that new moon, is going to conjunct Mercury as it moves forward. The moon moves faster than Mercury or the Sun. So this new moon conjunct Mercury, a new moon cycle that is very much informed by communication, hidden communication right now. When Mercury is close to the Sun, it is combust. It is overtaken by the Sun. So our ability to be clear, to communicate, to think, to process is clouded by our own soul's presence. Whether we are finding it difficult to communicate, everything is very internal. It is our soul's assertion right now that dominates our ability both to process, to think clearly, to communicate clearly, to communicate visibly. because Mercury is invisible right now, because it is so close to the sun, you can't see it. But it is a new moon in which communication, travel, transactions, Mercury-related things, processing, writing, contracts, plays an important part. And Mercury is in Leo. And Mercury in Leo, when I talked about the sun being in Leo, what I said to you was Mars in Aries is challenging the Cancer-Capricorn axis, and the Cancer-Capricorn axis is challenging Mars. Any planets in Leo, however, are going to support Mars. So on this fire sign axis of Mars in Aries, self-assertion, fighting, vitality, going after what you want, finishing things up, giving you a certain amount of firepower. And then the planets in Leo, the Sun in Leo and Mercury in Leo, give you a certain amount of emphasis right now, or in the way the chapters, yesterday's video when I was laying the groundwork, I mentioned how all these planets are kind of doing this dance. They somehow support each other. It's like there's intrigue, you know, they kind of, a planet might support another planet in August, but then might square and challenge the same planet in September. It's like an 18th century novel, you know, in the way that all these characters are kind of interacting with each other. It's like who's with who and who's talked to who and who's betrayed who and who thinks what and who is having to go backwards, and how are we dealing with these primary challenge of finishing up the old and embracing the new. Finishing up the old involving setting boundaries, learning lessons, availing of opportunities in a particular part of the chart. God damn my hair. Anyway, well, it's nice to have a breeze. So when you look at the sign of Leo, you're of course looking at the sign of the lion. You're looking at the idea of pride. You're looking at the idea of self-confidence. You're looking at the idea of preservation and taking care of the things that you value. Between Mars and Aries and the Sun and Mercury and the new moon shortly in Leo, at least some part of the imprint as you deal with the crisis, the eclipses in the sign of nurture, Cancer and Capricorn, maintaining, preserving some sort of conservative order. You know, when we're talking about the planet of communication and the sign of the lion, it's hard not to think of a roar. And that's going to be the title of this video. The planet's configurations keep changing as the Cancer-Capricorn axis and the desire to finish things up there and move into Gemini-Sagittarius are squared by Mars in Aries. And sometimes it's going to be the Cancer-Capricorn axis that is going to be more supported. Sometimes it's going to be Mars in Aries that is going to be more supported. With the planets in Leo, since the end of July, but also after August the 5th, and when Venus moves in here on September the 6th or 7th, Mars will have some support. So the energy of self-assertion, self-preservation, pride, with Mercury in Leo, roaring, determining what it is that you want to preserve, what you care about. The sign of Leo is not just about me, me, me. We'll leave that to Aries to some extent. Frankly, every sign to some extent is about me, me, me. But it is also pridefully and in a sunny way taking care of what you consider as yours. It is a sign of self-confidence, and it is a sign of joy, and it is a sign of what is right for you. And when Mercury is in Leo, whether you are a naturally roaring person or whether your roar tends to be a little bit more of a squeak, I wouldn't be surprised if you have spoken up, are in the process of preparing to speak up. Now, this speaking up, depending on your situation, may already have happened after August the 5th. This speaking up may well happen after August the 18th, the new moon, which is going to be conjunct Mercury, depending on what's happening and how things are playing out for each of you individually. So you could be preparing to do so. The other thing about the Mercury cycle is that it is very much informed by whatever's going on the Cancer-Capricorn axis, because Mercury, the new Mercury cycle started at the end of June when a retrograde Mercury conjuncted the Sun in the sign of Cancer. And as I've mentioned to you, Part of the theme of the second half of this year is to get done with wherever the sign of Cancer is in your chart and the eclipses that have been in place since the middle of July 2018. No matter how many times I say it, and I'm sick of hearing myself say it, I still enjoy saying it because it's a helpful reminder. I'm amazed by how much work there still is left to be done. The bulk of the work is left to be done. All the lessons, it's like, finish it up, ice the cake, be done with it. And so while the Sun cycle in Leo and Mercury in Leo will allow you to roar and continue this kind of temporary energy, both in August and will carry over into the next lunar cycle from August the 18th to about September the 16th, September the 17th, it'll bear that imprint. Either you are on the receiving end of a roar, or you have found your own little roar that's going to become a big roar. Now this roar is important because August the 17th marked a certain deadline for this Mercury cycle and this Cancer eclipse leaning into. Whatever needs to emerge and whatever needs to be on the table is now on the table for finishing up whatever needs to be finished up from a Cancer Capricorn perspective. Whether you're letting go of an old energy or whether you're letting go of something physical, a relationship, a person, a job, a situation, property, money, something tangible. Whether it is you're saying goodbye to an old set of energies by learning from them, by tackling them, by availing of certain opportunities, by setting up boundaries, or you are actually leaning into something tangible and releasing something tangible. The table has been laid, the food is on the table. And so from August the 17th to, I would say, about October the 16th, 17th, for a couple of months, August, September, October, now is the time to really go ahead and finish up everything that needs to be finished up. Eat the dinner, make the adjustments, and certainly for the next month or so, continue to roar, express yourself. Express yourself. Let's just think about Madonna. I don't know, does she have a strong Leo placement in her chart? Does she have a sun in Leo? I don't know. Express yourself might be another good title for this chart. I'll go with roar, but that's where we're headed. And in that expression, we may well find that we're able to start the process of dusting ourselves off and brushing ourselves off and finishing up whatever it is that the universe has planned for us to finish up as we head towards October the 25th. Now, with this Cancer Capricorn releasing, as I've told you, there are various deadlines. October the 17th, actually September the 30th, October the 17th, November the 30th, the end of the year. It's a gradual weaning, it's a gradual process of learning, finishing things up, doing whatever needs to be done. But if you are in a place where you know where the sign of Cancer is, or there are lessons or there are boundaries or patterns, there's work that needs to be done and you haven't been able to get to it, and you are paralyzed, or you're feeling afraid, not unusual, you're feeling like something big has to happen in order to, something that is big for you. You need to do something that is big for you, and you have not been able to do it yet during the months of July and so far in August. But you feel like it is absolutely necessary to give you peace of mind so that it can end this eclipse cycle or start that process by October the 17th. Then won't you by all means build that muscle, because the eclipses of leaning into and the sign of Cancer, and push through into it. Now Mercury, when it moves into the sign of Virgo, becomes very, very comfortable because it rules Virgo. And the energy is going to go, even though the lunar cycle is going to have this imprint of a roar, the energy is going to go from after the 20th of this month into a place of calculation and assessment and practicality. Where are we at? What's going on? Who has what? Do you have $5? I have $5.55. Is that right? Is that what it's supposed to be? Spreadsheets and facts and data and grounding everything. And what are we doing? My life as a project, and who is with me and who's not with me, and how much do I have, and what, but somewhere This roar energy has been with us physically with Mercury in Leo since August the 5th. And then because the imprint is still strong on the new moon of August the 18th, continues till the middle of September. Okay, I don't feel like these transit videos have to go on longer and longer and longer. I'm going to leave it at that because these are all individual cycles and they tie to this, whatever it is that I've been developing and building for you. If you do not know your chart and you are like, what does this mean? Let me give you a non-astrological summary. There are energies and activities that are waiting for resolution and want to be completed that have been in place since the middle of July 2018. These energies have posed a challenge. There are things that we avail of, there are things that we have to release. Sometimes what needs to be availed of and what needs to be released and where things are at could be a mystery. And in the second half of this year, we are going through in August and to some extent in the first week of September, a certain amount of forward movement, but it's inconclusive and it's indecisive. And really decisive and clear forward movement will occur from the middle of November till the end of this year. From the middle of September to the middle of November, from September 9th to the middle of November, we're going to have to call another timeout and kind of just readjust to all this forward movement. As those of you who watch my videos know, we have moments, we have periods of forward movement that are short and intense astrologically. And then our mind, our energy, our vitality, our heart need to sometimes kind of just adjust to everything that has happened so fast during these spurts of forward movement. And we as human beings resist the forward movement, and we as human beings resist the inertia and having to go back to it. We hate retrograde, and then when everything is active, we hate the pace of the active, we hate everything. We just hate movement. And somewhere to help us facilitate through this process, we've been given the gift of self-assertion in the second half of this year. Whether we are on the receiving end of certain things or whether we are asserting them ourselves. And the planets in Leo are supporting the self-assertion right now. Either by making you really uncomfortable about what you feel you need to protect. And I wouldn't be surprised if on some level there's been greater communication related to self-assertion that has happened, whether it is a roar or a whimper or a phone call or a, can I just check something with you? Even that kind of energy. Speaking up where you simply have not before. And it's a domino. Even if it's as simple as, hey, you know what, I haven't been in touch with you in a while, but something has been bothering me and I really want to ask you this question and please don't mind, all this kind of hesitation. And it's like, can I ask you this question? Just the fact that that first domino has fallen means that now all the other dominoes are going to fall ahead of them. And let the dominoes fall between now and October the 25th, because you want to know where you're going to be in November and December. So whether you're protecting, defending, prideful, not in a foolish way, in a, you know what, this is who I am, take it or leave it kind of way. That really does sound about right. But with the lion, there's a kind of a, you mess with me and you cross this line and I am just going to smite you. There is a certain amount of that energy that is certainly at play over the next 4 weeks or so. And it's not a negative, it's needed. It's needed. It's not an aggressive energy. Well, with Mars, you have to watch that line between assertion and aggression. You have to watch that line between protecting yourself and chopping your nose to kind of save your foot, or whatever that analogy is, you have to be careful when you're wielding power tools or axes when Mars is so strong, with Mars anyway, because you don't want it to fall on your foot. But irrespective, it's helpful to have and to have had on some level, if you felt that there are things that need to be dealt with and taken care of and communicated about, to have planets in Leo. And even if you've been in the receiving end of this energy, you could be preparing to have your own kind of self-expressed, comfortable in my own skin communication energy that is with us. Now, this Mercury being so close to the Sun is a bit of a problem, but Mercury is moving forward faster and faster. Mercury's moving forward pretty fast. So by the time we come into September, and again, as we head towards the middle of September and Mercury starts to become visible, you know, our own thinking and our own communication, what we think and what we want, and how we want to sign on things and how we want to agree on things as Mars goes retrograde. So as we're going to have this kind of forward-backward thing that's going to be going on starting September 9th, starting the middle of September. The communication is going to become clearer, more transparent, and more external. But right now, you may even want to just think to yourself, what do I want to protect? What do I defend? Where are my boundaries? What will I tolerate? What will I not? You know, somewhere, you know, it's that kind of cat or lion thumping its tail energy. Sometimes you thump your tail to let everybody know that you've had enough, and sometimes you thump your tail going, all right, fine, got it. I may have been in the wrong, but I'm only going to go this far. Okay. I hope that was helpful and that resonates with you. It's a general reading, so you're going to have to figure out how it resonates for you and where. If you were to say, Abby, what's the one message you want to give? I would say when it comes to the Cancer Capricorn energies, or if you're feeling like they're an old set of energies that you really want to put to bed and it's becoming more and more urgent and you feel like the universe is tightening the screws, waiting on you to jump off the diving board and swim to the other side and take care of what needs to be taken care of between now and October the 17th, do it for God's sakes. Don't deal with the consequences of it. And you're either leaning into and availing of a certain set of energies it either has to do with leaning into energies and releasing energies, or leaning into some tangible opportunities and releasing certain tangible things like people, relationships, monetary things, properties, real things. So however that applies to you. Okay. My contact information is in the subject area, the description box. So if you are interested in a personal reading, have questions, whatever it is, you're going to email me there. And if you want me to make you an easy-to-read version of your chart that shows you which sign is in which house and what house each house stands for, you can inquire about rates for readings or a personalized chart there. Do not send me your birth time or birth data without inquiring for the rates and being sure that you want to avail of my services first. I don't want your personal information sitting around in my email. If you found this video useful, feel free to like it, comment on it. If you feel like it, if you have something useful and interesting and fascinating to say, because likes and comments, I think, give the video more circulation. Even my communication right now is kind of Mercury and Leo. A little bit flamboyant. At a certain point, however heavy the energies with Mercury and Leo, don't be surprised if a certain amount of lightness, however forced, a certain amount of, you know what, I'm going to try my best to have a good time through this, and I can only take this so seriously without getting totally overwhelmed, or I'm going to try and cultivate a sense of humor and a sense of class through this. Now, if you're dealing with something terrible and horrible, I'm sorry, like the passing of someone or something along those lines, then this will not apply, or may not apply. But with the sign of Leo, a sense of joy, a sense of adventure, a sense of, oh, doesn't this suck? A sense of attitude, self-fortitude that is somewhat humorous, somewhat wry, somewhat dry, can be helpful to kind of just lighten the load that you're carrying, because we're carrying a load in the second half of this year. If you found the video useful, feel free to share it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you click the subscribe button, click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button so you know whenever I do videos next. I'm at least going to do another New Moon in Leo video on Wednesday, but I'm going to try and squeeze in another video tomorrow, probably about Venus going through Cancer. Okay, until tomorrow.